Hey you guys, I wanted to come on here and make this video about heavyweight boxer Deontay Wilder and provide commentary on the Dominant Society's response since his unfortunate loss to Tyson Fury, which side note, I was so mad when he lost because I am a personal fan of Deontay and I like what Deontay represents. He definitely is somebody that has a strong sense of African pride. So let me give you guys some background information about who he is so that way you'll kind of have a better understanding of why it is that I wanted to come on here and make this video. So Deontay LaShawn Wilder was born October 22nd, 1985 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He graduated from Tuscaloosa Central High School in 2004, and his career began in Northport, Alabama under the tutelage of a trainer named Jay Diaz at age 20 in 2005. And in 2007, during the Golden Gloves tournament, he defeated Isaiah Thomas, who at the time was a renowned world champion, and he also took down David Thompson, another professionally skilled boxer. And during the U.S. Championship, he secured victory over Quantus Graves, winning with a score of 31-15, as well as defeating James Zimmerman. So as you can see, Deontay was exceptionally skilled from a very young age. He had the capability to become an undefeated champion. When he made it to the Olympic trials, he defeated Quantus Graves again twice and was successful in the trials within 21 bouts. During 2008, Deontay soared in his career when he took down a Russian silver medalist named Rakhim Chakiev, which made him eligible for the Olympics, and he also defeated Davis Julio, Jorge Quinones, and Rafael Lima during the qualifying round. However, during the course of his win streak, he was unsuccessful when Russia went against the USA. He did lose to Evgeny Romanev. Overall, his amateur career record was a solid 30-5, which was actually impressive for him being so young. Now that you guys have some backstory about who Deontay is, we can finally get into his most recent fight. So, February 22nd, 2020, Deontay's professional record at the time was undefeated. He had a sturdy 42 wins and no losses. He goes into the ring to face off against Tyson Fury, a British heavyweight professional boxer who also has an undefeated record. They previously went against each other before in November of last year, 2019, but since it ended in a draw, they actually scheduled a second fight for them in hopes that a tiebreaker could be decided. And in the first part of the fight, it started off with Tyson being able to dodge Deontay's punches effectively. And the third round was where Deontay started struggling a little bit. Tyson Fury delivered a very hard punch to Deontay's temple, and even though he was able to stand up before the countdown, he appeared to be disoriented. Blood had come from his left ear, so it's a possibility that the punch from Fury may have affected Deontay's equilibrium. Taking a hard hit like that, it's hard to recover from, especially when you have to do it in an instant like Deontay did. And this is something that is common in the realm of wrestling, which is why a lot of wrestlers suffer brain damage and concussions. Sometimes long-term effects such as Parkinson's disease from the physical trauma of being hit consistently in certain parts of the cerebrum. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, Parkinson's disease is when a person has uncontrollable head shakes. It's considered a neurological disorder, and studies show that this isn't 100% confirmed, but speculation by neurologists show that there's a connection between Parkinson's and head-related traumas. So during the fifth round, Deontay was knocked down again by a left hook delivered by Tyson Fury. And due to the fact that Deontay was bleeding from multiple areas on his face and his inability to counter, his team had to throw in the towel by the seventh round to basically prevent any further damage to Deontay. At the conclusion of this, Tyson was leading in points from each of the judges, 59-52 in the first round, 58-53 in the second round, and then in the last round, 59-52. And what I want to do is I also want to read one more part of this, which is the breakdown of the stats for each of their hits. So Tyson Fury landed 82 of 267 total punches, equivalent to about 31%. And this includes the PowerPoint punches, 58 of 160, which is 36%. While Deontay was able to land 34 of 141 total punches, equivalent to 24%, and his PowerPoint punches 18 of 55 at 33%. So that was the gist of the fight. And I know Deontay later had released a statement basically stating that he told his team no matter how much it looked like he was suffering, don't throw in the towel. and he didn't want them to make any emotionally based decisions. I was also concerned for Deontay's well-being, and I agree with this team. I mean, it isn't about making an emotionally based decision as it pertains to life or death. Logic and common sense should tell you that if someone is bleeding and having trouble keeping balance, there's only so much your body can take, and more importantly, your cerebrum before your cranium cracks and becomes mortally vulnerable to the blows from your opponent. And I don't think that it was an emotionally based decision, but obviously Deontay felt differently. And I don't know him personally, I'm just a fan of his because I like what he represents. Now, I do want to shift gears for a moment and show you guys some of these screenshots, because what I've been noticing is primarily people from the dominant society leaving these disparaging and ruthless comments about how it is he shouldn't try and box Tyson again, and it's really annoying. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of these screenshots, and then I will come back to talk a little bit more about this. So you guys see some of what I mean. Pale people saying all of these ridiculous things, knowing very well that one of them went up. If one of them had gone up against Deontay, they probably would be cowering in fear, begging Deontay not to hit them. And I just find it hilarious that they have all of the strength and wittiness to say all of these things, but I bet they won't say it to his face. And I think when we look at this from a societal point of view, we have to examine a blatant and obvious fact. Due to Black people's genetics, we have skills in certain areas such as sports and athleticism. We have the ability to dominate in any sport we're passionate about. I mean, when you think about it, look at big names like LeBron James, Usain Bolt, Serena Williams, and those are just a few. When you look at the aesthetics of this particular situation, it's very soothing to the larger society, because when you really think about it, the way they're looking at it, they think, oh, we finally beat one of them in something. We need to hold on to this and rub it in their face for as long as we can. And see, the thing about it is they can't do this with a person like, let's say, Floyd Mayweather, because he's in the lightweight division and he's undefeated and retired at 50 wins and no losses. So the minute one of us makes a slip and loses, they have to hold us over our head to give their ego a boost. Now, the only thing I didn't like about this is that they are disguising their racism as poor sportsmanship. They're using that to create these racial attacks. And one thing you guys have to understand is how racism can be perpetuated in more ways than one. So, for example, in this instance, it would be covert, because they're expressing their sentiments by means of saying disparaging remarks, crude and degenerate comments in an effort to make Deontay seem like he's weak. But we know Deontay isn't weak. The man was undefeated this entire time until he came into contact with this one person. And I think when we make one mistake and aren't successful towards them, they love to gloat. They love to rub it in our face. But the thing about it is that even Tyson himself gave a much better example of sportsmanship, and he too is within a dominant society. And one thing I have to say about it is it's just terrible, it's callous, it's really cruel. And I mean, whatever happened to positive sportsmanship, where at least you can acknowledge that somebody put up a good fight, or say things like, hey, you know what, better luck next time. I mean, what happened to all of that? They're basically making it seem like that he's in a decommissioned state, he's weak, he can't fight a feather. But we all know why they think this way. I mean, I definitely do. It's because it strokes their ego to satisfaction. Now, one thing also that I want to point out to you guys too is I did also see some Black people also berating and ridiculing him. And this is something that also irritates me, is how we can't learn to stay on code. Even on our flaws, we still dog each other out in front of the world. And this only adds fuel to the fire of how Black people can't stay on code and support each other regardless of the outcome. The dominant society is thinking, hey, we beat one of these black people. We need to hang on to this victory and continue to hold it over their heads. And the thing about it is, I still stand behind Deontay 100% with this. I mean, he's American born, but he traced his roots and identifies with his Nigerian ancestry. I have no doubt that he'll be able to bounce back from this and keep going. It's a lesson learned that sometimes we don't always win every fight. And I'm not talking about the ones just inside the ring, but just when we think about it in general in life, we deal with battles. Sometimes we're at war within ourselves and we ourselves are conquered. What matters not is winning or losing, only aiming to become a better person than you previously were. So, anyways, you guys, that's my brief video on Deontay. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think people use coded language to express their racial sentiments, or do you think this is nothing more than just poor sportsmanship? So, weigh in below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.